Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 5 of our F1 2021 Williams Road to Glory career mode. Yesterday we hit back ready for the Canadian Grand Prix. Now obviously if you missed out on the last video from Azerbaijan, I would definitely recommend going back and checking it out. I'm going to try and keep these videos to once every other day at the moment as well for you guys. I know I keep getting a lot of questions going, you know, so where is the Williams Road to Glory? It is still here, we aren't forgetting about it. But yeah, just every other day I'm going to try and aim to keep these uploads going at this early stage of the game cycle. Of course, we're really enjoying my team at the moment as well, having a lot of fun with that. But of course, heading into this weekend, then we need to get some more upgrades on the car. So unfortunately, by the looks of it, the engine cover distribution has failed, so that'll have to be sorted ready for the French Grand Prix next time out. We can also go with the rear floor under tray as well. No, we can't. We've got all the upgrades we possibly can at the moment there. So the additional diffuser strakes has worked as well, so we might be able to go with... no, we won't be able to go with that either, because we haven't got enough R&D points. Can't go with that either as well, so struggling a bit to find upgrades ready for this weekend there. Can we go with any durability stuff? We probably ought to. We can go with a gearbox improved materials. That should be done ready for France next time out as well there. So spending a few R&D points here and there. I think actually we've got a couple of upgrades that are meant to be coming in as well. So that's one upgrade on the car, and that's two. So that should mean now we got a little bit more that we can potentially put onto the chassis as well there. Can we get any more upgrades? Yeah, we'll go with the rear floor under tray there. So like I said, that should be done ready for France next time out there. You can see just how far behind our chassis is in comparison to a lot of the other teams at this early stage of the year there. In terms of the R&D though, we are still currently sat in last place here, but like I said, we have got a lot of upgrades in the works there. Hassan made a big leap forward heading into this weekend. They're almost left us behind as we head into the Canadian Grand Prix there. So not really what we wanted, not ideal there. It's Ferrari, Aston and McLaren all still to play for there as best of the rest. Let's head then into the Canadian Grand Prix. So heading out then to the Canadian Grand Prix qualifying session, looking rather overcast and ominous as we head into this weekend. But fingers crossed, you know, this should be a track that suits the car a little bit better. Of course, Canada, such a power-orientated circuit in the world of F1 as well. They've got to be really careful, though, of the curbs around this track, though. Of course, we've seen how much damage they can do if you get them wrong as well around the course of this lap there. Sonoda already down onto a 108.7, but this weekend still, despite it being a track that might suit the car's characteristics a little bit more, I think it might be a little bit tough with the likes of Haas making big leaps forward and Alfa Romeo still having a bit of an advantage, but we'll see what we can do. Down in towards the hairpin, coming towards the end of our first lap of the session. A little bit of wheel spin on the X there. You've really got to try and regulate that throttle management as best as you can there. Cycle all the way back up though into 8th gear as you head into the final chicane there. Of course, the Wall of Champion chicane. Can we thread the needle through nice and tidily? A little bit conservative on the braking on the way through, but that was pretty good. Shortest run to the line there as we've got yellow flags out for someone behind us. Not too sure what that's about. But a 109.9 just under the 110s. Not too sure how far off George we are, but not great. Heading out then for our second run. We're about 6/10 off our teammate George Russell, who's still quicker than both of the Haas cars heading into this qualifying session. Let's see if we can try and get a little bit closer to our teammate here. We need to attack the curbs a bit more, get the car sort of properly launched into the corners a little bit better, as well. They're just having the confidence to sort of carry some more momentum through the corners, not scrum off as much speed on corner entry there. Green as we head out the first couple of corners, down in towards the chicane. Oh, that's a lot of curb, both on entry and exit there, but we do find a little bit more time through it. Right, just in the 100-metre bob there, really try and get the car as straight as possible there and then mount that second curb. Avoid that exit one though, it will spin you around here on F1 2021 there. You can see we're still about a 10.5 up as we head down towards the end of Sector 2 there. Really, again, ride those curbs. We have upped the ride height this weekend a bit more than we normally would to try and mitigate that as well there as we head now down into the hairpin. A little bit braver on the brakes on the way in. That's going to help us find a bit of time and give us a straighter run on the way out. As you can see, 3/10 up as we head in towards the final chicane of the lap here. There's definitely another couple of tenths on the table. We can definitely get close to that time set by our teammate George Russell. Brake just at the 100-metre board there, tip the car in, or take a lot of curb on the way through, then nudge the wall on the exit. We're still going to be up at the end of the lap there, but a big, big mistake. And that is going to leave us P20, but getting a lot closer to our teammate there is a lot better. There is about half a tenth separating George Russell all the way down to Antonio Giovinazzi as we head out for our final run of the session. But now we need to get the lap hooked up here. Now we need to try and get this car at least in the mix with these other runners this weekend. There, again, take a lot of curb through turn 1. Try and get the car over the curb in through turn 2 there. Gives us a bit of a narrow run on the exit there, but does allow us to get on the power nice and early. Daniel Ricciardo, provisional fastest of this session there, as that was a lot better through the second chicane. Really just getting right up close to that wall on the exit. Down in towards sector 2. Heading out of the hairpin, though, still 3/10 up at this stage of the lap here, so we need to make sure no errors through the final chicane here, and we could try and leapfrog our way just a little bit higher up the order there. Giovinazzi has now done a 109.1 there as we fling it through the final chicane. They use all the exit curve as well. We're going to be a good half a second up at the end of the lap. It is a good lap at the end. A 109.2. That only puts us P19 still. How heartbreaking is that? Well, there we go then. The end of qualifying here for the Canadian Grand Prix. And it is Daniel Ricciardo who puts it on pole for McLaren there. Fantastic job done by the Australian ahead of Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas there. Sergio Perez fourth ahead of Norris and Verstappen. So really, yeah, 3 teams certainly in the mix this weekend there. Ferrari not too far away either. Don't forget that. But when all is said and done, we do go 0.06 of a second quicker than our teammate there. But had we found, what, another 0.2, we could have been right up in P15 there. We're hanging on in there this weekend at Williams. I think, yeah, we've definitely got the slowest car, but George and I are a bit better than the Alfa Romeo and the Haas drivers as well there. Let's dive in to the Canadian Grand Prix.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. We'll be seeing top speeds of around 210 miles an hour here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 2/3 of the lap taken at full throttle. High-speed chicanes spell potential danger, especially at the infamous Wall of Champions. And watch out for overtaking into the hairpin and the final chicane. I'm joined again today by none other than Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, obviously there's a lot of development work that goes on with these cars between the races. You've been both a test driver and a race driver. What differences are there in the way you approach those roles?
Interesting question, Crofty. They're two very different mindsets. I mean, when I tested for BAR, we had full in-season testing where, per driver, you'd cover up to 15,000 kilometres per season. And in that role, it was more about working for the team, trying to help them improve the car and drive as systematically as you could, so that that data could be analysed in the most consistent way. When you're lining up on the grid for a race, however, your frame of mind's all about what you can get out of the situation on that day, and the car's the tool to help you achieve what you want. You still want to focus on setup, of course, but it's more about the here and now, getting yourself as far up the field as possible, and less about development work for the future.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Daniel Ricciardo has a clear view ahead from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Perez, Lando Norris, and Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Gasly, and Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon, and Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Mick Schumacher, Nikita Mazepin, and Mr. Monaco. Russell and Sebastian Vettel starts from the back of the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Right, well, here we are then, ready on the grid. Round 5 of the year here from the Canadian Grand Prix, and we've been moved up 1 spot. Sebastian Vettel, with some grid penalties this weekend there, finds himself at the rear of your field, but 35 laps, though, around the circuit Gilles Villeneuve today. The team are looking at the 1 stop. We have got a fresh choice of tyres for the start, so I'm tempted to go medium, soft, medium, and depending on how well the softs last, we might be able to do 2 soft stints over the course of the Grand Prix as well here. We'll wait and see as to how that goes. A safety car is a very big possibility over the course of a Grand Prix here as well. But let's just dive into it then. Round 5 of the year from the Canadian Grand Prix. Waiting on those 5 red lights. And it is a very long hold, but it is finally lights out and away we go there. Mazepin reacting like a cat to that start there. Already almost making it 3 wide as they head down towards the one. There is teammate Mick Schumacher having to avoid that there as we have to try and avoid the pair of them. Dipping a wheel on the grass there, but somehow finding the room around the outside there. And that might be a cheeky little double overtake as we try and put the power down on the exit of the first hairpin there. I think we're still 3 wide with both of the Haas cars here. Mick Schumacher tries to hang on around the outside there. We almost make contact again, but we have pulled off a double overtake at the start of this race. So a good little start for ourselves there as Giovinazzi tries to pull a move off on Raikkonen there. We just know where to go on the exit of that corner, but up 2 places off the start here at the Canadian Grand Prix is exactly what we needed. Of course, I think this weekend is going to be very, very much battling the Haas cars if we can. Be interesting to see what George Russell can do in the other Williams. As Schumacher thought about it. Raikkonen, though, having to bail out of that one at the very last moment there and accidentally putting off an overtake as the AI Constantina up so much on the hairpin there. But we have, moved up 3 spots then on that one of this Grand Prix. Giovinazzi up in P14 there, so another good start by him. Always seems to get the better of Kimi Raikkonen at the start of Grand Prix at the moment, whether it's my team or the Williams Road to Glory. But Ricciardo holds on to the lead at the end of lap 1, and it's been a good little start.
DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you are within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
So DRS has now, of course, been enabled on lap 2. Lap 3 even of the Canadian Grand Prix. You'd hope after nearly 10 years in the sport of DRS I would finally know that, but apparently not. But anyway, yeah, Daniel Ricciardo, though, the lead of this race, has really been able to pull out a good little margin early on. Of course, wants to try and break that DRS zone as early as possible here, because if he doesn't, he's in a world of hurt against those Mercedes. But yeah, the Australian, this is what McLaren paid for with Daniel Ricciardo, rather than what they tend to get in real life. Trying to be really careful early on, though, in this race as well, making sure we don't use too much of the battery. I think Giovinazzi, though, was just dipped out of DRS range from Esteban Ocon in front of him. I was kind of hoping the Alfa Romeo would be able to drag us along, keep us in touch with the midfield here. Let's wait and see. Has Giovinazzi got some DRS? No, he doesn't. So now we might see us backmarker cars drop back a bit. Sebastian Vettel is still in last place, though, after 4 laps here in Canada. No idea how he's struggling to make progress early on, but clearly he's got a plan. Right now we might be able to get a run on Giovinazzi here. We're going to use a bit more of the battery. So we head down in towards the final chicane once more there and clean down around the outside of Gio before we get into the braking zone there. That was absolutely critical this early on in the race. Don't make a mistake through the final chicane either. So we're now up into P14 here in Canada.
Behind is 3.0 seconds.
As George, don't know what it is, but really struggling early on in this race. Has really struggled all weekend so far. But Ocon now over 1 second ahead. Might mean we're looking in our mirrors a bit more soon. I say that, though, we've actually been able to get the gap back down. No, we haven't even. So we're within 1 second. We didn't actually get the DRS on Esteban Ocon then. Not too sure what that's all about. Team reporting no part fault, so I'm guessing we just really nailed the hairpin. We got yellow flags out. Someone's got issues. I think it's one of the Ferraris. Who is that then? Is it Sainz? Is it Leclerc early on in this Grand Prix? They see they're really getting in the way. So we head towards the end of Sector 2. There is Charles Leclerc out of the Canadian Grand Prix. There are not the starts of the weekend that Ferrari would have wanted it. There was a good chance of some big points here. Definitely had very comfortably the 4th fastest car this weekend ahead of Aston Martin. But not the ends that Charles needed. Now getting the DRS, though, on Esteban Ocon, and Daniel Ricciardo, I'm pretty certain, is the first man into the pits at the end of lap 7. So we managed to build out that gap, but he absolutely shredded a set of tyres in the process here. He should get a bit of clean air, I think, by the looks of it. No, he's probably going to come out near the Haas cars and ourselves. So Ricciardo now might be in a bit of hurt. Load more cars into the pits at the end of lap 8 here, so we are going to leapfrog our way up to the points of the Canadian Grand Prix. Up now into 8th place here, and really applying some pressure to Ocon, who hasn't got the DRS on his teammate Alonso. I think these soft tyres are pretty much dead here, and Ocon's struggling. End of lap 9, I think we're going to see the rest of our soft runners into the pit lane here. Yep, Ocon into the pits. That's very much thrown me off through the final chicane. Always so off-putting there when you see a car brake so much later than you do, but that's going to put us into P3 of the Canadian Grand Prix as we head on to lap 10. George into the pits as well. So yeah, no, he started on softs and he struggled that badly. We've really got into a groove early on here, as Ricciardo has still come out in the net lead of this race, but it is Yuki Tsunoda ahead of Fernando Alonso for the second time in a row. Yeah, the top three has been the same here of Tsunoda, Alonso and myself. I guess it's that annual time of the video where we do our best sieve impression and leak positions like there's no tomorrow. Here comes Danny Rick up the inside into the hairpin. He's going to obviously already have the DRS on us. So we head through the exit there, no point trying to squabble with the McLaren man. And now we've got both Mercedes as well coming at us as we head out onto the back straightaway here. There goes Valtteri Bottas. That's 2 places gone straight away. Hamilton, I'm sure, is not going to be far behind either there. As yeah, Bottas now really trying to apply the pressure to the Australian. Through the final chicane we go. Hamilton now, is he going to get close enough to go for anything back towards turn 1? Okay, we're not really going to fight it. Hamilton does send it up the inside. Runs himself a little bit deep through the corner. But yeah, 3 positions lost in about 4 corners. Love it.
Okay, we're monitoring somewhere on the ICE. Be aware that we will start to see a loss of power.
Not what I want to hear, especially after last weekend. There goes Verstappen. Now back up into net P4 of the Grand Prix there as the top 2 into the pits. So down through the final chicane once more. We're going to go 1 lap longer in this race. But yeah, not what we want to hear. How bad is the wear as Verstappen, you fastest lap?
We're leading our teammate by 21.7 seconds.
ICE up to 55%, so it should be fine for the rest of this Grand Prix. But we'll definitely have to remember to change it. Ready for France next time. Well, it'll be interesting to see where we come out in comparison to all the other back markers here, as I think Seb has been able to make big progress through the pit stop phase. Draining up the rest of the battery though as we head down into the pit lane. Going to brake at about the 50-metre board on the way in. That's pretty much exactly where you want to be braking. Didn't panic at all there on the way into the pit lane nonetheless there. But as you can see, there goes Lance Stroll there. So yeah, I think Seb has made quite a lot of progress early on and been able to undercut his way past the rest of the back markers. 2.5 isn't too shabby either as we head back down the pit lane here. I'd like to be ahead of Giovinazzi still in this Grand Prix, and I think we are just about going to do that actually as we head back down towards turn 1. Of course, the shortened run in through turn 2, and yeah, we're in a nice little bit of no man's land at the moment. 3 behind Seb, 2 in front of Gio. Let's enjoy this soft stint and get ready for another set of mediums, or see if we end up with a safety car. Over the last few laps though, we have just been quietly plugging away in this Grand Prix, trying to close up to the back of Sebastian Vettel on this huge train of cars that just about, I think, stretches into P10. And the points there, yeah, with Esteban Ocon. We've got Tsunoda, both Alpines, and Vettel involved in this one. And yeah, so far today the car has been gelling perfectly with the track. Feels so much better than it did in qualifying trim. Don't want to speak too soon, but I think it's been helped massively by Tsunoda and Ocon battling each other lap after lap. But maybe there's a sniff at points today. Here we go then, might be able to get a run on Sebastian Vettel at this stage of the Grand Prix. Don't want to use up too much of the battery though. See Ocon and Tsunoda still going side by side down into that final chicane there. This time around Ocon has to bail out of it there, and see Tsunoda and him as now Alonso's getting involved in this battle as well. And this is just for Seb and I. Absolutely brilliant, allowing us just to get a little bit closer to all 3 of them there. Seb very, very slow through turn 2, however. Can't quite find the momentum down around the outside. As I think, yeah, Giovinazzi and Mazepin behind are battling it out and holding up the guys behind them. We are hanging on in, and this race so far has fallen into place for us. Can we go again then on Sebastian Vettel in this Grand Prix? Are we going to see Alonso make 2 moves in a lap reminiscent of Jenson Button here? We're still side by side with Seb in towards the final chicane there, and clean around the outside we go, getting very, very tail happy on the exit there, and Seb's going to come straight back at us in that moment, and that was not great between either of us there. We've really cost ourselves a lot of time to the guys in front. We just about keep the wheel on the track there. I think there was a tiny bit of contact between myself and Seb in that moment, but yeah, we've only got a few more laps to the pit window, but we've lost a huge amount of time. I think we've made a bit of an oopsie in this Grand Prix, battling Seb where we did here, because he is not willing to back out of it either. And we are just costing each other time at this stage of the Grand Prix. We do get the power down on the exit of the hairpin there. But, yeah, just not ideal. You can see we've got a load more guys into the pits there. Seb's going to sail back around the outside. So, yeah, really not happy with that there, as Seb actually dives into the pits as well. So we are going to be able to P12 of this race. You can see the Alpines have ran away. Ocon into the pits at the end of lap 22, but we have absolutely cooked this set of tyres at this stage of the race there. We are going to re-emerge back up inside the top 10, albeit only briefly here in the Canadian Grand Prix, just behind Sainz and Lando Norris, as I was going to pit them, but I thought George is going to be into the pits.
Coming in for his stop.
So yeah, we're probably going to dive it in the end of this one, however, and then just take the set of mediums to the end.
Box is currently full. Stay out on track. Stay out on track.
No, I just want to pit the end of this lap. George shouldn't be there still then. Now, can we dive it in?
We can't take you right now. Pit in.
He's out of the pits! Come on!
The pit box is currently full. Stay out on track. Stay out on track.
I'm pitting in anyway. Gasly's flying past us as well.
Right, come in at the end of this lap.
There we go. Finally the team allowing that. So yeah, Gasly and that AlphaTauri doing very, very well so far to be within touching distance of the McLarens and the remaining Ferrari in this Grand Prix, but 12 to go here from Circuit Gio Villeneuve. Daniel Ricciardo is still leading this race as well there. Fair play to him, but Hamilton and Bottas closing in. Into the pits we come. Again, just about get it slowed down in time. I think we are going to be back out. We should still be ahead of the likes of the Alfa Romeos and the Haas, as well as our teammate here, but I don't think really points are going to be on the table anymore. There goes Sebastian Vettel as well, though, so he's had a big undercut on us as well. That goes to show how much time we've lost over the last couple of laps there. Seb actually undercut Ocon as well in this Grand Prix, and there was a good couple of seconds between those two. So as we head back out of the pit lane, back now down in P15, but we should get Raikkonen again. It's been 2 laps, we somehow managed to lose 6 seconds to Sebastian Vettel in this Grand Prix, and here I was thinking points might be a possibility at the end of this race there. Raikkonen though into the pits, so we are going to re-inherit P14. Now Alonso and Tsunoda have lost out a load as well, so no idea what's really happened here in this Grand Prix, but now somehow Vettel's leapfrogged his way up into the points, and we were battling him into the final quarter though of this Grand Prix, and we are now all over the back of Alonso and Tsunoda here. We managed to get ourselves back inside the DRS range. They're still squabbling with each other, and both on hards, weirdly enough, so not too sure why Alpine and AlphaTauri thought that was the way to go in the latter stages of this Canadian Grand Prix, but hopefully now, as you can see, Alonso really tries to get close through turn 1. We might be able to try and capitalise. Right now we're going to get some DRS on the pair of them here, as Alonso is actually closing in on Yuki Tsunoda as well. We'll try and get a nice run out of the hairpin there, try and compromise Alonso's run just a little bit, as well as we put the power down on the exit of the hairpin here. Surely now we're going to be able to get a run on the Alpine. Alonso goes defensive, will dart back to the outside here. It's not going to be great in towards the final corner, but we're not going to be the one to back out there. And look at that, clean around the outside of Fernando Alonso there, reminiscent of his move on Michael Schumacher at the Japanese Grand Prix all those years ago. Just pure confidence to send it around the outside and just turn in knowing the car that was in front is going to back out. And that's put us now up into P13 here in Tsunoda, so you can quite clearly see right in front of us as well. On to lap 30 though of this Grand Prix. Tsunoda is kicking at the back end absolutely everywhere here, but Alonso's trying to come back at us as we head down into the hairpin here. We want to try and get a run on Yuki Tsunoda, because surely now he's going to be a sitting duck in this Grand Prix there. As yeah, you can never count Alonso out of a battle in the world of Formula 1 as well here. Here comes Tsunoda though. We're going to try and get to the inside of him there. He forces us even further towards the grass, in towards the final chicane, but we do make the move work. Get on the power nice and tidy out of the final corner here. Tsunoda obviously won't have the DRS to come back at us, and now we've got to try and run like crazy.
Behind is 10.8 seconds.
Only 10 seconds back to George still in this Grand Prix, but a lot of cars between us as well. As now the engine warning lights come on. That's not ideal, but 5 to go. Let's see if we can drag this thing home. 3 laps to go here from Canada now, and you can see the gap to Tsunoda and Alonso has really opened up there. I think they're still battling each other. It's really allowed us to break away. P12 is another decent point, well, not a point tool, sorry, decent result on the board as we try and get this car closer and closer to points.
5.4 seconds.
It's going to need a miracle now, or a collision between two people, for us to get anything more than this in this Grand Prix. But again, just getting those consistent results, and this was a weekend where I thought it'd be George and I battling for the wooden spoon, and still again the cars come alive here at Canada. Well, Daniel Ricciardo has come through to win the Canadian Grand Prix for McLaren there. A mega result for the Australian at his new team for 2021. We get all that shape through the penultimate chicane of this race as well, though. But it's been another good turn of form for us and Williams there after the unfortunate demise last time around in Baku there. Another P12. Not our best result of the year. Of course, we had 11th at the Monaco Grand Prix there, but we are just getting closer and closer to those points at this stage of the year there. France next time around as well should be another good track for us. Very, very power-orientated circuit as well. But in towards the final chicane, P18 to P12 in the end is a pretty good result. And we beat Alonso as well, so I'm pretty happy with that.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
They take the checkered flag then here in Canada in what has been another fabulous Grand Prix. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, tyre management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure, and no doubt they'll be celebrating tonight. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Sebastian Vettel would definitely be my first choice. He showed up a lot of the drivers out on the track today and didn't show any signs of slowing down.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the Canadian Grand Prix, and it is Daniel Ricciardo once more who takes the race victory this weekend there. Valtteri Bottas P2 further extends his lead in the championship ahead of Perez, Hamilton there, and Max Verstappen, as well as Lando Norris finishing up in P6. Sainz in 7th, a good recovery for Ferrari after Charles Leclerc's unfortunate demise there with Gasly, Stroll and Vettel there. Vettel from last on the grid to pick up some points there. A very good day out by him there. Ocon comes through 13th to 11th. We make up good progress as well there. 18th to 12th in the end in our Williams, finishing just under a second ahead of Fernando Alonso there. Tsunoda 14th, then you got the Alfa Romeo of Giovinazzi, both Haas cars, then our teammate George Russell there ahead of Kimi Raikkonen at the end of the day there. Yeah, really, really disappointing day from Kimi Raikkonen and George Russell there, really. Neither of them you'd expect to be finishing behind the Haas cars when all is said and done there. Charles Leclerc, the only man not to make it to the checkered flag, means championship-wise, Bottas now 21 points clear at the top of your standings. Perez still in 3rd there. Ricciardo leapfrogs his way up into 4th, ahead of Verstappen, Leclerc, Norris and Pierre Gasly there, as well with Stroll still in 9th place there. Ahead of Sainz, Vettel just outside the top 10, ahead of Fernando Alonso there. Tsunoda with his 1 point still means he is ahead of Ocon, and then of course all the backmarker cars there. We should technically be P15. I don't know why, for some reason, the Monaco Grand Prix classified us as P20 in the end there, but we are still 16th, and hopefully we'll get some points on the board very, very soon nonetheless there. Constructors-wise, though, no change in this weekend there. Most battles, I think the one to watch out for is probably AlphaTauri versus Aston Martin at this stage of the campaign there. Maybe we can jump Alfa Romeo as well over the next few weekends if we keep some consistency up as well. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well. And yeah, we'll be back probably on Wednesday for round 6 of the year, ready for the French Grand Prix. You guys do not want to miss it. None of these videos could be possible without the support of our channel members, so a massive thank you to the Travesty, Patrick, Chuan and David Bennett for becoming channel members. You can join them and be featured in these end clips by clicking the join button down below.